Hi, this is Amy Shapiro from Mayapack Library. Today we'll be taking a tour of Google Docs. This is the fourth video in the Google Apps for Education for Parents series, with the aim of making full, remote, or hybrid education a bit easier for you to understand and better able to help your student. So let's start with, what is Google Docs? Google Docs is an online, internet-based word processor. With Docs, you can create and format documents, collaborate on documents with other people, and even in real time if you want to. Google Docs is part of Google Apps for Education. We've discussed these a few times now in my previous videos, so I'll stop saying them now. You're welcome. Now we're going to talk about how we can access Docs. If you've watched the other 3 videos, you'll probably be able to say the next few slides with me. But stuff changes a bit once I get to the grid slide, so if you're speeding through, just try to get back for the waffle. Google Docs has an app available for both Google and iOS operating systems if you want to put it on a phone or device other than the Chromebook. You can get to Google Docs using any browser. Chromebooks uses Chrome, so that's what we'll be looking at. You'll go to google.com and you'll click the blue sign-in button on the top right. Type in the student's Mayapack Central School District email address and password, and then click the blue sign-in button or hit enter. Now that we're signed in, our options have changed to a link to Gmail, Google Images, and the one we're interested in right now, the grid or waffle. So we'll click on it now. Once you're signed in, you can get to Docs straight from the waffle, but you can also create a new doc in Drive under the New button. There's a difference in what area of Docs opens depending on whether you go from the waffle versus the New button in Drive. If you go from the Google waffle, you'll wind up in File Selector view, where you can see the files that have been created already or create a new document without formatting or from a template. If you open from the New button in Drive, you'll get plunked into a new document. Both are great, but this is good to know that you'll see something different depending on what you use. So this is where I'm going to talk about the backstage view of Docs. So we've opened up the Docs file selector from the waffle, and it should look familiar for those of you who looked at the Drive tutorials I did a few weeks ago, but it's pretty limited in what you can do with it. It's probably easier to think of this as what will be editable in a Google Doc. You'll notice that you're only seeing Doc and Word files. So the Word files are the blue with a white W, and the blue with the white lines are Google Docs. Let's take a look around. To start, there's a new blank document icon, followed by templates. Up here, you can look for even more templates. On the top left of the page, you'll see a menu option, and this is what you see when you click on it. The first 4 are direct links to the most common apps, a link to help and feedback, and a link to Drive. Right now, the one we're interested in is the settings. So I'm going to explain around the one that I have marked in red, and I'll come back to it once I finish talking about the rest of the things on this page, because for beginners, I think that one's the most important. The first setting is language. So if you wanted to change all the controls to another language, that's how you do it. The checkbox directly below it is asking if you want right to left text, which you'd only need if you're writing in a language that doesn't read left to right like English. We've discussed offline options in Drive, and you can also set this option there. This is going to actually make recent Google Docs available to work on without an internet connection, and not just the one that you'd select in Drive. Any changes made to an offline document will not show up anywhere else on any other computer until the device that the changes were made on has been connected to the internet to sync. And now for the red one, the important one. If this option is clicked, you'll see the template bar on the top that we looked at a few minutes ago. If that bar isn't there, you'll have to look for the new document icon on the lower right-hand side, which is not what most people are accustomed to. I feel like it's easier to have that template bar on top, at least until the student gets more used to looking for the icon there. I'm back out of the menu now. So this is the search bar on the top. This will only look for things that you can open in Docs. Let's go through the ways you can find what you're looking for in the Docs file view. On the left, you'll see the current document display order. You can sort by who owns the document. This A to Z icon gives the option to sort by the time it was last opened by you, last changed by you, or last changed by anyone, in addition to just sorting by title. Lastly, the folder icon will open a window into Google Drive and open files that work with Docs from there. Depending on the view you have, you'll see the option to switch between grid view and list view. Right now we're looking at a grid view and we have the list view icon at the top right. When I switch to the list view, we see the grid view icon at the top right. If you don't have template view at the top of your page, or if you've scrolled down and you don't see that template bar anymore, you'll see this new document icon. When you move your cursor over the plus sign, it splits into two options. The top view is to choose a template, and the bottom option is to create a new document. And you can see when I hover over those, they enlarge and they give you some text to explain what they're doing. I'm using this Dry Tortugas doc as an example. You can tell it's selected because it's a light blue color as opposed to the usual white. From here, you can either click on the three dots on the right-hand side or right-click over it using your mouse. From here, you can rename, remove, that means move to trash, open in a new tab, or make the file available offline. Google Docs has all the things you'd see in other word processing documents, so if you've used another one, you'll probably feel pretty comfortable with this. Now let's take a look at the Doc toolbar. You don't need to save files that you write in Google Apps like Docs, Sheets, and Slides, as they save automatically. If you don't name the file, though, it will just call itself Untitled Document. To name the doc, just click into the title area, type the name you want, and then hit enter or click to another place in your document. This is where you'll find redo and undo. Undo will reverse the last changes you've made to your doc. Redo will change anything that you've undid back to the way it was before. So if I type a word, let's say I type the, and I decide I don't want that word, I hit undo, the disappears. And then I decide I do want the again, I hit redo, and it appears again. Fonts are a group of text and punctuation characters that all have similar designs. Each of these groups have names, and you can click on the font area. It says Arial right now because that's the default font. So that means that it's the font that Docs will choose if it doesn't get any other font instructions. Font size is the size of the characters. The larger the number, the larger the text. When you click on the font selector, you'll see a list of fonts that are available. Each font name will be written in the font as an example of what you will see when you select it. When you click on font size, you will get a drop-down of sizes to choose from. Font sizes are measured in points, which comes from typesetting, but I don't know why the measurements are called points. 1 point is the smallest size of font. If you need it just a little bigger or a little smaller, you can use the plus and minus sign on either side of the size drop-down, which will raise or lower it in small increments. You have the same formatting options as other word processing programs. In any program, the most commonly used items are bold-faced, italicized, underlined, and text color. So the first three have their initials, and they show what they do by using that letter as an example. So bold-faced, or B, is bold. Italicized, or I, is italicized. And underline, the U, is underlined. The A with a bar on it is for the color of the text. In this case, the text color will be black. But if I selected another color for my text, the bar under it would change to reflect my selection. Alignment in word processing gives direction on where the text should appear on a line. From left to right, these options are left, which lines text up with the left margin, leaving a ragged right edge. This is the one that's most commonly used, so it's set as the default with any new doc. Center puts text in the center of the line. Right lines text up with the right margin, and that leaves a ragged left edge. And justified spaces text on each line so that the right and left sides both have a clean edge. And you'll see this a lot in newspaper print. These options will automatically number or bullet text entered once they've been clicked on. They can actually also be added to selected text after the fact. Now, these icons themselves are buttons. They'll insert the default number and bullet style when they are clicked, and the drop-down arrow next to each will let you choose from a few different styles. This little arrow allows you to see if and when people you've shared your document with have viewed it. It will only be clickable if you've shared the document. Only the owner of the document will see this information. The share button will allow you to give access to the document to others, and it will also allow you to give them permission to edit, comment, or just view your document. If you'd like to see more about how that works, please refer to my Google Drive tutorial. Older and resolved comments can be viewed here. You can also change your notification settings for this document. An example of a notification in this case is being notified when anyone you've shared a doc with has made changes to it. The red circle is now showing this little pen with a drop-down arrow. This icon is showing us that we're currently in editing mode on this doc. The other options when I click the drop-down are editing, commenting, and viewing. This is what that drop-down menu looks like. You can choose what role you take if you have full access, or if the doc is shared with you. Depending on the owner's choices, you may have all three or only one or two of these options. As the options show on the right, editing mode means that you're editing straight into the document. Suggesting means that when you put in edits, they don't automatically change the document. They turn into suggestions that an editor can accept or deny. Viewing mode means that you're only able to view or print the document. Now we know our way about the toolbar a bit. We'll look around the area where you'll be writing the document. There are two rulers. If you don't see them, go to View on the toolbar and click Show Ruler. There's a picture of this near the right side of the slide. Notice that some of these options are checked and some are not. In this screenshot of my view options, the ruler is not enabled, and I know this because it's not checked. Once you click on it, that will disappear and the rulers will appear on the top of the document area and one will appear on the left of the document area. The triangles on the top ruler will increase or decrease the indents. The bar over the top of the triangle on the left side will change only where the first line of the paragraph begins. But remember, every time you hit enter or return, Docs thinks you're starting a new paragraph. And this is true for most word processing programs. Notice that there's a line right under the blue indent markers where gray meets white. These are the margins. You can see that in the smaller picture that says right margin. That's the hover text. So if you move your mouse over it and just leave it there, it will pop that up to explain it to you. The margins are where the text begins or ends, and there is a margin on all sides of the page. You might want to move the indent markers if you're changing the margins. You'll get an arrow if you click and hold on the line between the gray and the white, and that's shown in the picture under the one we were just looking at. Even though the arrow is not two-headed, you're still able to move that left or right. You can also set tab stops on the top ruler. If you're working on something like a resume where you have to line up dates, setting a tab to place that text is a great idea. The tab key moves the cursor 5 spaces to the right by default. A tab stop allows you to set the tab key to move more or less than that. To set a tab stop, click on the ruler and select the tab stop you want. Remember that you need to select all the lines on which you want to have a tab. I remember it this way. Select what you want to affect. So if you want to have the same tab stop on 3 lines, select all 3 lines before you insert that tab stop. If you need more information on tab stops, gcflearnfree.org has a great lesson on them. This is the document outline slider, which will give you an outline of your work. To use it, we're going to return to the toolbar for just a minute. We didn't discuss the text style when I went over the toolbar because I felt it would be more helpful when we did it with this part. When we click on the text style dropdown, we see a lot of different options. Generally, you'll just be using normal text, but if you're interested in using titles and subtitles, these are how you would get them, and they show up in the outline. So if you're thinking of creating an outline, this will make your life a whole lot easier. The outline slider will only add the title and headings to the outline. On the left is how they look in the outline, and on the right is what these text types look like in the document. Now, there might be text between all of these that I didn't actually write, but you wouldn't see it in the outline, even if it was in the actual document. The Explore button on the lower left-hand side of your document will help you find and add suggested comment to documents in Google Docs. The suggested comment is related to what's in your document. You can also search your doc and the web from within a document. When I hover over it, it enlarges to say Explore. In this example, I wrote about whales. When I hit Explore, I got information about whales, and it says under it that I wrote about this, so that's why it was suggesting it. But if I don't want whales, I can just click into the area above and just search docs in the web. In this case, I looked up puppies because puppies are awesome, and I have results. Notice that web is selected right now, but I can search for images or search my drive as well. So that's it. Thanks so much for watching. I hope that this helps you feel more comfortable with docs, either for your student or yourself or both. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me, and I hope you have a great day. Take care.